You're not being very, very, very.
Why are you scared of
kind to us now.
Why are you scared of mine? Why are you scared?
In fact, you can speak to my friend over there. Why don't you speak to him, right? Go and speak to him, please.
No.
So, Mark.
He's Christian. No.
Yeah, he can clarify that problem too.
He want to speak to you. He said you're forced to allow it.
Yeah. So as I said, our deep-rooted concepts gives us the characteristics. We keep on moving from one place to the other.
I don't mind.
Just attracting noisy people.
Yeah. So, when it comes to the reality, it's important that we understand that we exist and understand that we are real. I'm sure, Mark, you believe you exist in this reality. Not an illusion, not a brain in a jar, thinking and dreaming about this Speaker's Corner encounter, right? Right. You already stated also that there is energy that has always been there. If this energy has always been there, this energy must possess some characteristics inherently. Do you agree?
Yes.
Right. What are these characteristics possibly can be?
The characteristics of energy.
That it inherently possesses.
You've got them.
Okay, let me illustrate with some examples. This universe, with the reality that we know within this cosmos, as much as we can understand, demonstrates the evidence of wisdom, knowledge, will, organization.
And you're going to tell me this came from God?
No, what I'm saying is, it is demonstrate this kind of things, so things by themselves don't appear. For example, randomness doesn't create order. Which random experiments have created the next generation iPhone or the next generation camera, Nikon camera? Nothing. These things don't create the levels of complexity and order and precision and organization that we think of. These don't.
You're giving examples of technology, not nature.
Part of nature. If I told you that in a junkyard, not a junkyard, somewhere in Brazilian jungle, right? Atoms and molecules, which are there present within dust and stones and rocks and all the natural environment, they gathered together by the wind and the humidity and the temperature over hundreds and thousands of years, and then it formed something that is so complex, so organized, you will say it's impossible.
It's nature.
No, you will say it's impossible for it to produce. Why? Why? Because the level of complexity and organization within it.
Depends what
Okay.
you only refer to it produces something. You know, I don't know if you're trying to talk about an iPhone now or a pile of or a rockery. Okay, I'll tell you. If you're talking about something that's technological, then no. It
Okay.
won't. Technology is created by
Imagine now. Imagine we leave certain molecules of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and we make them into certain, compound molecules. Let's call them amino acids, which are the building blocks of life.
Yep.
So we leave all these amino acids in their respective dishes or flask, whatever the medium that you've made them, in a controlled lab, and we leave them.
Yep. Will you create life?
And we leave them for hundreds and thousands of millions of years. Okay? Somehow we think miraculously, by the forces of nature, these things will come together.
They will.
And they will produce life.
They will produce acids, yes, and they will produce life. Absolutely, it's been done.
It's not been done.
It has been done. You can.
Where?
There's an experiment, so you can go and look at it. They took
which experiment?
glass jar. You'd have to look it up. I don't know.
No, I have. There's no such thing exists.
They have.
I'll tell you what.
Okay.
They were able to produce. It's not able to disagree. It's about knowing the reality. People are often misled by the claims that our prominent atheistic scientific community makes. They do that for their own dogmatic reason. Let me give you one example.
This is not an atheist reading. This is a scientific reading. I don't read atheist books. I don't read any.
Let me give you an example. There is a prominent scientist. Most of the scientific community, if not all of them, know about him. He wrote a book called The Universe from Nothing. Guess what? In Speaker's Corner, I have seen people saying, of course the universe comes from nothing. What they didn't realize, because they haven't read his books, listened to his lectures, and understood the concept, that the universe, according to this professor, Professor Lawrence Krauss, didn't come from nothing. Because his nothing is not nothing. His nothing is something. But he's deceiving people to say it's nothing because he's defined this something as nothing, when this is totally, blatantly misleading. Nothing is nothing. It's not something. You can't say nothing has gravity. You can't say nothing have fluctuations. You can't say nothing have quantum particles. You can't say nothing have virtual reality. This is not nothing. If it possesses something, it's something.
I agree.
So by doing that, he seemed to be offering, misleadingly, a lot of atheists, the universe came from nothing. They come here saying, yeah, the universe came from nothing.
Because I didn't read
Right?
into the details.
That is what is happening with the things about the experiments of the amino acids. Amino acids gathered together with our laboratory conditions, they may have made into peptides, polypeptides and proteins.
Polypeptides.
That's as far as it goes. No experiment. This is 2017, June what? What's the date today? June 18, 2017. No lab in planet Earth have been able to demonstrate that they have produced a single cell or a life from this which replicates with its own functions and so on. They became so unstable. Okay?
You've got polypeptides.
Polypeptides is not a cell.
But what you need from polypeptides is time. You've got to remember, when the Earth formed, you needed time. Millions
What you
of
need,
years.
what you
can't
need.
give that in a scientific experiment.
What you need, polypeptide is not a living cell.
no, it's
A
not.
living cell composed of multiple organelles or systems within itself which works holistically to sustain its life. For example,
Absolutely. My point
that's
here is that if they can produce the polypeptides and amino acids by putting 3 gases into a vacant jar, and they can,
that's not life.
it might not be life, but what we're missing here is the time aspect. And you can't replicate time in a lab. It's not possible.
Regardless, however millions of billions of users give, without conscious designing. Remember, conscious designing. You have to have a program within these proteins to make DNA.
Yes.
And the DNA to make proteins. Catch-22 situation. Let me give you a simple example of a cell. A cell, it has to have proteins.
Yes.
Proteins are the building blocks in the machinery of your DNA replication.
Yes.
Without proteins, no DNA. Without DNA, no proteins. It's like asking chicken or the egg, which one came first? It doesn't work in this example. So if you have now a polypeptide, which building blocks of proteins, right? Proteins. It needs to now start coding for
DNA.
certain program which will make DNA and make proteins. How does it do that? It doesn't have the self-awareness. It doesn't have the necessary knowledge and the will, wisdom and knowledge and power.
But this
How does
has
it do that?
happened in history. This has happened.
No, what has
millions
happened?
and millions of years ago. This happened. And
This-
using time.
This theory,
as a length
I'm saying this theory being postulated, it has happened. It's like saying, yeah, it has happened. This camera, look, it says it's Nikon. It's not made by Nikon. It just happened in a junkyard. Would you believe in it? If I said this happened in a junkyard, it says Nikon, fake, copycat, but it's recording it. You would not believe in it. You'd say, no, these kind of things would never happen. So complex. Biological systems are more complex than this. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Right. If
working cells.
this particular brilliant camera, by the way, is unable to gather itself over millions of years,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and yet we somehow are able to postulate the idea that biological systems which are more complex than this can come about, it's a belief. A fantastical belief with no evidence. Because what we have is the nature around us, and we are projecting our belief to this nature, saying, this is how it happened. When it comes to evidence, there is no evidence to support it. So when you have a
That's
cell,
where you believe it came
from the creator, originator, this energy that
You
is
think my
always...
belief is fantastical?
Which,
That's fantastical because there is no evidence.
I'll give you my
We're
evidence.
talking evidence now.
Let me give you my
There's no
evidence then.
evidence that there is a
The
creator.
evidence that I'm giving is this energy that always existed
Yep.
in your belief is the originator of everything that we see today. And this originator is self-aware, conscious, live, living, has a will, and possesses power, and is able to do all those things. If all of these things were absent, from that energy, nothing will proceed, because the energy is not willing for anything to be produced, anything to be manifest, anything to be originated. If I have in my laboratory in school, right, all the equipment's there, do you think distillation will happen? Do you think things will come together and then start making amino acids? Nothing will happen unless you have a willing agent gathering together all the chemicals, putting them in the flask, heating them up, whatever, right? If you have no willing entity, an agent who's self-aware to bring these things about, this lab will remain there, will hold it by itself, nothing will happen. Nothing will ever be made.
This is the evidence for God.
No, I'm saying this is the evidence by looking at this universe today that the originator of our universe is conscious, alive, who has life, has will, and has knowledge and power.
So he created this place but never visits.
No. First, what I've said so far, this is a rational conclusion. If you say otherwise, then you have to explain how from that energy, with inherent characteristics which you haven't described, how do things proceed like this? How do the laws proceed from this energy? Laws which are precise in our universe, very precise to 22nd decimal places or more. That precision we're talking about. Planck's constants, gravitational constants, lots of constants, right? That's why we say if our universe, if our Earth was so distant away from the sun with an angle of rotation, life won't exist. So within the laws, that's what scientists are telling us with the precision of our universe.
That would indicate there's no life elsewhere in the universe.
No. In this universe, the way the universe is fine-tuned, our universe is fine-tuned.
Do you mean our planet or our universe?
Our universe.
I don't believe that we're the only things in our universe at all.
No. Do we know what's there in the corner of our universe? We don't. So we are talking about the things that we can observe, things we can measure, things we can experience and see. Within this realms of our universe, we see fine-tuning, fact of life, fine-tuning. These are so finely tuned as if they're purpose-built within this universe to produce life. We're talking about other universes, other multiple universes. This particular universe that we are in is a fact of reality that is finely tuned. This fine-tuning, I am saying, is not a product of
Nature.
Nature, which has no consciousness, because nature is nothing according to them, it's just a process. That process hasn't got anything for it to be self-aware. But I'm saying the originator of this universe is self-aware.
Okay. I think what we can take from this is that the only difference in what we believe in is that you believe was a conscious creator and I believe it was nature.
You believe in a non-conscious entity like the energy. So if we now examine this universe with all of these laws that are built within this universe, how do you rationally explain that this came from an energy which is like nothing? It's like a stone, no consciousness, and yet things proceeded from it with this organization.
It's not like a stone.
The energy has no will, according to you. It doesn't will anything to happen, but things happen.
Naturally happen.
No. When you say, When you say, I understand that. When you say naturally happen, what is naturally happening?
Let me ask you this. If this was done by a creator, do you think we would have started off as a molten blob, which slowly cooled over millions of years, water forms, comets landing, etc., water forms, the gases contract? Why didn't you just create it whole? This has taken a process of billions of years, and over billions of years, a lot of chemicals in this smorg of chemicals have come together, and we can do that. We can put 3 gases into a vacant jar and form polypeptides. The only thing that's missing here is time. We're talking millions of years.
Still, it's not going to help.
You don't think that's going to...
If you have millions and billions of years, in my school laboratory, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen.
In your school laboratory, nothing's moving. We're talking about putting... The gases are moving because nature moves the gases.
The energy, did it have any gas to begin with?
Yes, of course. It's formed from gases.
So the components, so this energy had components according to you?
Yes.
What components?
What, of the Earth?
No. This energy, which is the originator of our universe.
The energy's still here now. You look at the ocean moving, it's an energy.
No. This energy that is before the universe came into existence. Our universe came into existence through the Big Bang, right?
I believe so.
Right. Prior to a Big Bang, what existed? The energy.
Yes.
That energy then existed in a certain form.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that form the same form as it happened after the Big Bang?
It's the same energy, it's not in the same form.
Right. What form was it, from what you understand?
Infinitely small. Do you know what? I'm not a big proprietor of the Big Bang Theory. I actually don't believe that all the things that we see in our cosmos were all inside a little ball that big with infinite pressure and infinite. I think in time, this is what we currently believe at the moment as humans. As science develops, I think they will work out that it wasn't quite like that. I don't believe it's all in one.
So what we are saying is, if you look now at the evidence that this creator has given us in terms of the creator's existence, it's overwhelming. But people do not appreciate this evidence. They say, oh, this is all nature. It's relabeling. It's repackaging the creator into nature, into evolution.
That's why I said to you, the only difference of opinion that we have is who created. You believe it was Allah, and I believe it's nature.
So when we are now created in this life, what is the purpose of our creation according to this energy? For what purpose me and you are created for?
Question.
It's an important question.
There doesn't have to be a purpose.
So you're saying
it's like asking me what the first fish that came out of the water on its fins
very important.
What was its purpose?
It's very important to
just
address
living.
this point though. Are you saying our whole body, every particular organs within our body has a set function and a purpose, and the body as a whole doesn't have one?
Enjoy life.
Are you sure this is the purpose?
I believe so. I'm here to enjoy life.
Yeah. Are you sure this is the purpose though? Right. How are we going to know what purpose we are created for? And how are we going to know from that energy? Has the energy communicated to you what the purpose is? Okay. Does the energy communicate?
No.
Why not?
Why not?
Why do we see communication happening in everywhere? And yet that energy that created us doesn't communicate to tell us why we're created.
But I don't believe Allah communicates.
We believe Allah did, and the communication has been
through Muhammad.
Throughout human history. The Creator communicated through prophets and messengers, and Prophet Muhammad being the last of them.
I don't believe in a God, though. The statement I've made is purely because I don't believe in a God.
Okay. Do you understand that if a communication came from the Creator, it will have the hallmarks of being from a Creator? From that energy?
You have to assume that I believe there's a Creator.
No, the energy. If the energy communicated, the energy will communicate to us in a way that we'll understand. So are you saying the energy is dumb and we are more clever? The energy that made everything, that made all these laws which are so precise and so organized within the complexity.
Yep.
It is so dumb it doesn't even know what it's doing, and yet we are more clever? Is that what you believe about this source of everything?
I don't understand why that's a question.
No.
We are more clever than energy because we have consciousness.
And the energy doesn't. The energy that brought about these things, it doesn't even know it exists, and it did it. And it was able to produce sentient, conscious individuals like us questioning the energy. Does it make rational sense? Does it make sense to you rationally?
I never thought about it like that.
Think about this way. Because we are giving the credibility to a originator of our universe that produced us questioning the very source of this universe. And yet, somehow we are thinking in our rational conclusion that this energy is so dull, so dumb, so deaf, so blind, it does not have anything, and yet it was about to do everything like this. It is not self-aware, it does not will, and yet this universe has all of this. You look at a painting, right? A beautiful painting of a beautiful landscape, trees, birds, flowers, and a nice little cottage, and a windmill, and a little girl, picking up some flowers. And then you say, look, this painting was not painted by a painter of any kind. It just happened to be. You will say, no, it doesn't make sense. The painting demonstrates